The real reason Google is buying Fitbit. All right, you guys, let's see what's going on. What's the situation? What's the story here? It says, in announcing its planned $2.1 billion acquisition of fitness tracking company Fitbit, Google said the deal will help spur innovation in wearables. At least that's how Senior Vice President of Device and Services Rick put it in a blog post. If completed, the move would spell the end of an independent Fitbit, a 12-year-old hardware firm, credited with popularizing the self-quantifying phenomenon that has so many of us comparing our daily step counts against our friends and loved ones. So, Chelsea, you picked up this article. Google just paid Fitbit $2.1 billion and the stock. But before we get into this, I want to remind everyone at home, first off, this is not investment advice. This is strictly just commentary. Secondly, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You get notifications every time we post a new video. That, and email this over to your friends. We love it when you share this and email us back. We get some really interesting comments. And then also, if you like what we're doing and you want to learn more about it, don't forget, here at Ravenna Capital, we do comprehensive wealth management services for all of our clients. So reach out to us if you want to talk more. So Chelsea, talk to me about Fitbit. I have an opinion on this, but I'm going to let you guys talk to this, and I'm going to close it out with my diabolical take on this. So What do you think?
Well, Google is, I would say, a direct competitor to Apple, and all of those Silicon Valley companies, Google hasn't really tapped into the fitness or health sector. They don't really have like a direct competition with Apple Watch or anything like that. So I think it was a smart move for them to pick up Fitbit. Go through this process. I have some concerns, just a few notes that basically Google behind all of this is working with a company called Ascension. It's not really highlighted in the article that we're looking at today, but what Ascension is it's a nonprofit Catholic health system, and doctors will actually pay Ascension to have that service and more of like a cloud-based computing for patient data. And what then Google is doing with partnering with them is they are analyzing patient data and then giving information back to the doctors and making suggestions on patient care. And I think...
And actually, can I read I've got the article pulled up right here, actually. Yeah. The headline says... And this actually came out right about the same time that Google bought Fitbit. Google gathering health data of millions of Americans, reports. It says here, Google is teaming up with a healthcare company on a secret project to collect personal health-related information on millions of Americans across 21 states, the Wall Street Journal reports. Project Nightingale is a partnership with St. Louis-based Ascension. And it says here, the data involved in Project Nightingale includes lab results, doctor diagnosis, hospital records, among other categories, and amounts to a complete health history, complete with patient names, data, birth dates, and more.
Yeah, so I just think that the Fitbit and the Ascension and those two projects and, the buying of Fitbit, they kind of just go hand in hand with how Google's wanting to get into that health system sector, kind of how Apple is. And I think the entire Silicon Valley, all of those companies are just trying to modernize the healthcare system and somehow make a profit on analyzing the data and then selling it back to the doctors so that they can then prescribe patient care. So,
did you see anything interesting in this one?
Are you concerned about the privacy, or are you concerned that the healthcare costs could go down because they get more information?
I don't know.
As I read the article, the thing that I took away from it is that if you have a cell phone, you've already got on your Apple iPhone and on your Samsung phone a health monitor. They're already monitoring what you're doing.
Right.
So just because Google buys Fitbit, they're just trying to keep up with. I mean, you've got Garmin that's got the Garmin health thing that people put on them. Right? So when they go running, it's to say, okay, well, I know where I'm going, but it's also monitoring your heart, number of steps you take. So this information's already out there. It's just Google trying to keep up, I think, with Amazon, because Amazon is trying to get into the healthcare field as well.
All of, I mean, Apple is as well with their Apple Watch.
Right.
Right.
Somebody made an interesting comment. You could be sitting there with all this technology and have your watch on, and you get an alert on your phone or email that says, "Hey, we noticed you could have an oncoming stroke. You need to see a doctor." So that could be really
Right.
It also
amazing.
says that you've sat around too long. You need
Yeah.
to get up, and all that is being collected as well. No
Right.
different than what Fitbit's doing. Your phone or your watch is telling you get up, do something, and who's all the information going to go to?
Okay. Now, have you guys heard of the documentary "The Creepy Line"?
No.
No.
I'm going to pull this up a moment. There's a documentary about how advanced Google is getting on the data they have on all of us. So I'm going to play this about 20-second clip or so of John Stossel. He did an interview with the director of Creepy Line. So hear this for about 20 seconds here.
And what I didn't know until I watched The Creepy Line is how far Google goes to follow us on the web.
They were getting a lot of information from people using the search engine, but if people went directly to a website, that's bad, because now Google doesn't know that. So they developed a browser, which is now the most widely used browser in the world, Chrome. By getting people to use Chrome, they were able now to collect information about every single website you visited, whether or not you were using their search engine. But of course, even that's not enough, right?
Then Google wanted to know, what do people do when they're not online?
As soon as you connect to the internet, Android uploads to Google a complete history of where you've been that day.
So what? They're giving me
Okay.
information.
So
They
that,
are
I don't know
giving
if
you
you guys could
information.
hear that very clearly, but what the Creepy Line was just talking about right there is first Google started off with just Google searches. So they had all the data on what you're searching, but that wasn't enough. So they made Google Chrome. So now they know everything you do on the internet. And then that wasn't enough. So they created the Android cell phone. So now they have all of your Android information of your apps and your location and your text messages and all of that. I read this interesting comment on here that says, and I'm going to read it to you guys right here. It says, "It's all about the data. Just like Facebook was buying women's menstrual cycle data from other apps, you guys are thinking too small. With Fitbit, they can track how you psychologically and physiologically respond to any particular advertisement. They can then do the closest thing to putting an ad in front of you and then reading your mind. They can use that data to feed it into their AI on how to interpret human body responses. This acquisition is not just about selling and acquiring healthcare data."
My final thought on like this whole thing is, at some point, Google, Apple, Garmin, whatever major company, tech company is out there that's gathering all of this data, at what point does it become valuable to the government, and then they can actually get access to that information to use it?
Well, it already is. It definitely
Okay.
is. There's a service you can see, and they used to post it quite often, but you can see how many times different government agencies have been tapping these tech companies for data, like, hey, show me how many times this person's
Yeah.
been eating, that kind of stuff. So I don't know. Time will tell. Either way, it's good for Fitbit.
Right, yeah.
Value, but time will tell how Google turns this. So any closing remarks? You guys good on that one?
Good on this one.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. See ya.